watching it?
Yeah, I do. I screwed up on the thing here. My welcome everybody. My apologies. I thought we were live, and I'm still. This is only my fifth show doing this by myself, so here we are going live. I'd like to welcome everybody to another episode of Fuji's Philly Flair. My guest tonight, Tralee Hale-Ringo, mother of two-time NCAA champion and Super Bowl 59 champion of the Philadelphia Eagles. And how you doing, Miss Ringo? Welcome.
Excellent. I'm excellent. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on. You know what? I believe just, we were, getting into, you weren't down in Tampa this week, and you said you were getting ready for your
Getting ready for my breast cancer message, October. It's just piled. My plate was just piled high, and I'm glad that he went down there and he delivered, showed up, and did his thing, and I'm proud, Mom.
Well, like you said, we were talking off air, and he was, balling out this weekend, and it's been a hell of a ride for the last 4 weeks, and as we said, it's keeping her on our toes and everything else, and it's really something.
Yeah, to be 4-0, I mean, I just think we're on our way to a repeat, and I'm just gonna call it. And you heard it here first. What would be the best story other than the team who canceled the fake repeat? Excuse me, the fake three-peat to end up three-peating.
Right.
I think we have potential.
I definitely do, and it's just, it's been a close 4 games, and everything is really, as I was saying, as you said before, how we, backing up Kelee, and like I said, this has been like the best for. It's the golden, as Merrill Reese said, this is definitely the golden age of the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's just been incredible. Like I was saying, the Eagles have had some bad drafts in the past, and how he finally got it right. And,
Howie is impressive.
That he is. I mean, 3 Super Bowl appearances in the last 8 years. And it's just been, I just want to make sure, this is right.
Okay.
Bear with me. Oh my God. So I'm just making sure everything is, boy. I mean, I know it says we're live. I just don't. Yeah, I believe we are live. I don't know why it's coming up on Facebook, but I want to dive in. Are you? I know you're originally a first responder. You were a firefighter, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes. For a suburb of Chicago.
Well, no, is that where you're originally from?
No, we're actually originally from Seattle.
Okay.
And I ended up in Chicago because I became a flight attendant. Just knew I had to get away from Seattle and that rain, and debated between joining the military and becoming a flight attendant, and should have joined the military, but I was a single mom, didn't want to be away from my son, and chose to fly and worked for United. I worked 9/11. I flew that day.
Oh my God!
As a flight attendant.
That must have been, what airline were you working for?
United.
Wow. So
it was one of our planes too. It was rough. And every year that comes around, that date just.
Wow.
I can't believe it happened. I can't believe I was working that day. My experience and just, the the United States and how everybody came together was second to none. But we got past it, and
Well, that must have
it
been.
seems like yesterday.
I I mean, I'm a big observer of 9/11 every year. It's just like, when those planes both hit the towers and they hit the Pentagon and the plane up in Schwanksville, Pennsylvania, just like, you know, and I know,
Who knows where that plane was headed that went down in the field? It was headed towards this community, I think.
and the scary part of it, I mean, you look back and Philadelphia was just right smack in the middle of it, and it was just really, just really crazy, and it was, just, I'm like I said, I'm a big observer of 9/11, and it just, it's sad. I can't even believe it's even going to be 25 years, and I mean, I can't even imagine like what it was like you just flying on a plane that day. I mean, it must have been where. I mean, if you don't mind talking about it, where was
No
your plane
worries. I had
that
flown
day?
a red eye, actually. I just landed that morning.
Oh well.
I'd flown in from San Jose, California to Chicago, and got off, was done at 6 a.m. and was going to commute home to Washington State to my family and a boyfriend. Oh, Keely's dad, actually.
Oh
And
well.
I was at the time manipulating my schedule so that I could work six, off one, work six, and that's reserved, by the way. You're just as a new flight attendant, you're waiting for the phone to ring. So, was coming up on my 6 days off, and at 6 a.m., the flight out to Seattle was 8:30 or so. Around
Wow.
the same time, everything hit the fan, and so I decided to go home to my crash pad, which temporary housing for commuting flight attendants, and sleep in my blow up mattress in the corner, only to get woken up at 8:30 in the morning regarding what was going on.
Well, so that was. I mean, I know it was like just watching documentaries and like all the chaos between New York and like just all over the United States, and I guess how can I put it? Just all the planes landing once everything went down. It was just because I remember I mean, I worked for the city of Philadelphia for 26 years now, and I was in my job maybe 2 years in, and I just remember, you remember where you were at that time, and I
Hmm.
just remember a coworker saying, plane hit the World Trade Center, and I'm like, it was kind of like taken
No
back.
way.
It was like, you really didn't think nothing of like a terrorist attack, but then when the second plane hit I believe it was the North Tower. I mean, it was like, it was, the buildings, I was working right on Broad and Spruce, and, all the buildings were evacuated, and it was just really,
Everybody
you know,
remembers where they were
right. I mean,
when they got that news.
it was like a scene right out of a movie, and it was just like, just really crazy, and just, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, not to, keep talking about it, but it was, it's kind of surprising, like the government never really made it a national holiday, which I don't understand in a way why not. But it
Interesting.
should. I mean, you had 4,000 people that died for no reason, first responders and whatnot. And like, you just never know when you're not going to see your loved ones, and it's just it's it's just human nature. We don't really think about it, but it's. I mean, I don't want to keep. I mean, I know there's other things I did want to get into, but
Yeah.
it's just.
First,
I mean, getting back to Kaylee's career. I know you. I saw he went to high school in Tacoma, Washington.
he started high school in Tacoma. And
Right.
so my being a flight attendant, I did leave from flying and went and became a EMT basic, followed by paramedic, followed by then that got me on my department, and then worked as a fire. They sent me then to become a fire for
Right.
that certification. Anyway, so then hurt my back and have had multiple back surgeries. The most recent fusion was last October, and so now I'm trucking through these games. Though I'm good, but it was a long time coming.
And then he moved to
And so I
Arizona.
moved him, yes, I moved him down to Arizona when he was old enough and trustworthy, could drive and get, excuse me, he wasn't able to drive yet. He wasn't able to drive just yet. But I could trust that he was going to school and, going to make the grade and get to football practice and such. So I could go and work a 3-day trip as a flight
Wow.
attendant. And that evolved into when I wasn't flying, when I wasn't working and gone on a trip, I was home doing my laundry and doing his and cooking and meal prepping for this developing 16-year-old young man. I felt like I was feeding for a small family
Wow. So
but and I was having to oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that when I wasn't flying, that evolved in my being a soccer mom and coming home from my trips and going to practice, high school football practice. um, Getting into a senior year, a junior year, considering my flight benefits, I believe, broke the unofficial college visit record across the United States
Wow. When
because I wanted to know who these men are that I'm going to be dropping my son off
right.
to, and to take him on and continue to develop him on and off the field.
When did you know? You know. Kaylee's talent. Was just when. When did you really know he was?
Right
Going to
away.
be just
I thought it was normal, well, without a doubt. Athletes walk even sooner. He was walking at 8 months old.
wow.
And moving forward into even third grade, field day, he's racing and beating fifth graders with ease. His competition um, was he had to go up in age to compete physically, um, athletic. And I was asked this question sitting next to Jalen Carter's mother and Nicole B. Dean's mom. And we just looked at each other. We just both had the same right away. It
Wow.
was it. They were these kids are second to athletic ability just stands out.
Just. I mean, was Kelee originally a defensive back, or did he play other positions?
He was a running back, and
Okay.
actually um, was his main position until he got to Saguaro High School in or excuse me, in Scottsdale, Arizona. And that's a high school that just doesn't even have to recruit. They're 4A and they compete up, and are very well known for the kids that they put out, that have and even gone to the league. And can't think of names off the top of my head, but there was two right before my son. And the coaches that are there, one that developed my son specifically is Bryant Westbrook, and he played in the NFL and converted him to a DB,
Okay.
his position. He started off as a running back and then in high school played both sides of the field and ended up winning a high school.
Wow. Impressive. I mean, it's just now fast forward into, I guess, I'm sure Kelee had a lot of scholarship offers. And how many would you say he had? I mean, what colleges besides, Georgia reached out to recruit him?
Um, he was a star. Oh, that's number one or two in the country, and it was every school. Humbly, Um, he was strongly considering Ohio State and Oregon and Texas Longhorns were the closest in the running, and ended up behind Georgia. We ended up going and visiting many schools, and he was going to visit schools when I was working, and couldn't go with him. He was gone every weekend to visit. Him and I ended up going to visit Texas 5 times together, 4 or 5 times together, and then we ended up going to Georgia one additional time. They ended up rolling out the red carpet, and I trusted them, and it was the best decision. Go
Was it
Dogs!
was it hard to choose between Georgia and any other school? Or, like Georgia basically set the tone early and won your heart?
If you can play in the SEC,
Mm-hmm.
that's where you want to go play.
Right.
If you
Right.
have that opportunity, not everybody does, and of course, schools are picking out guys that are going into the league. SEC is it. College football is religion in the South. I
Right.
was surprised coming from the Pacific Northwest. You've only heard, they breed, those athletes down in Texas and then in the South, and it's true.
Well, right. I mean, you go back. I mean, I'm going back. I'm 53, so I'll go back to mid to late 80s. I mean, it was like Texas, Florida. When you had the University of Miami, a powerhouse. Notre Dame's always been there. Schools in Texas, the Florida
Yes.
schools, Oklahoma, um, Nebraska. Some of the schools out in the Pac, UCLA or USC more so. But you look at these teams now. Like, I mean, Georgia was a powerhouse back when Herschel Walker was there, but that was going back to the early 80s. And I know Georgia was. I know they were up there, not for a while, but like you said, the SEC is just where it is, and it's like I was saying, before I thought we were live. How we finally got it right with drafting the guys, the Dogs and Alabama. And let me ask you this: like, I know there was the five, besides Kelee and Nolan Smith, N'Kobe Dean, Jordan Davis, and Jalen Carter. Now there's like 8 or 9 guys from Georgia. Now, are you in the other, or let's just say Aziz Ojolari, what's
We got
Lewis C.
Lewis C. Mhm.
and Samil Moden? Now, are the mothers tight with you and the 4 other ladies?
I don't know those ladies, to be honest. I want to meet them. But also those boys weren't part of the 5 that won the championship.
Right.
They went there. And so the group of our 5 moms are closer, and moms on the move when we get together and do community
Right.
service work. We're here in the community. But I definitely am interested in going down under the tunnel, post game, and meeting those moms.
Right.
They may even want to affiliate themselves with what we have going on, and we'd love that.
Right. I mean, I like I said, I had the pleasure to interview, Miss Nikki Dean a month ago, and I was telling Miss Dean, I said I'd love to get the 5 of you on here if it's, I know schedules conflict, especially this time of year, and I believe Miss Dean said you're really like the only, your organization's called Moms on the Move, and I thought I was asking Miss Dean. I said, is there any other teams in the NFL that the mothers are involved, like in the work, the community work that you ladies do? And she told me no, but she said she would like to get other teams like involved.
Yes,
You
we'd
know,
like to grow. What we did last year. We're certainly going to collaborate. Her son, N'Kobe, is so proactive in the community and just such a young man. And I went and dressed up as Mrs. Claus and went to his event last year, actually, where he was giving away presents and
was
et cetera to underprivileged children. Go ahead.
if I recall, I know, I believe Miss Dean and the Kobe might have been last year or 2 years. I believe it was. I believe they went over to Fort Dix, one of the military bases, and they were, I believe, giving out gifts and just shaking hands and because
Yes.
I know Miss Dean was in the military, and I know she was in a Desert Storm and whatnot. And now, let me ask you this: as far as Jalen, Jordan, Kobe, Nolan Smith, and Kelee, did those guys hit it off right then and there, like as soon as they got to Georgia?
It seemed like it to me. It seemed like it to me. All five of them, they're different positions, so
Right.
not necessarily around each other at all times, but over the years that they spent together, and then the wins and the losses and the tears. I've never been a football player, but I can't imagine another sport that would bring a group of guys closer. Faster.
Right.
And for them to then have accomplished what they did in that championship, and then all end up getting drafted up here, and now they've been continuing to build that relationship and that camaraderie and that brotherhood.
Right.
These boys are tight.
I actually wanted to play the interception that Kelee had in the bowl against Alabama.
Biggest third down in Bryce Young's career. You need 10. Play clock at 4. From the pocket, launching downfield, underthrown and intercepted. Kelee Ringo has an escort down the sidelines. All the way to the end zone, and Georgia is going to conquer the Crimson Tide. The sweet irony not lost on the Georgia faithful. It was a pick six that doomed them in round 1 in Atlanta. And now a pick six has sealed it. And Kelee Ringo, who plays for his mom, who's been battling breast cancer in recent years, she works hard to attend the games of her son. She was there at the SEC championship game, and look at the tears.
Oh, man. Yeah, let's just take that in right there. Good for 13, man. Good for Stetson Bennett.
In a spectacular season for the Heisman Trophy winner, this was not his finest moment. Without his main weapons, Kirk, he just tried to force a play.
Yeah, he's to the outside. The receiver's to the outside. Bryce, he didn't get pressure, but I don't know if he's expecting a back shoulder throw or bringing Holden back, whatever it might have been. But unlike Kendrick, Ringo gets his eyes on the ball, and he sees that it's underthrown and adjusts back and makes that interception. As you said, he had a convoy in front of him. It wasn't just about securing this. And look at Kirby in the background. That's elevation. That was 38 inches right there by Kirby Smart.
We saw the speed earlier. There's the vertical jump.
Yeah.
Ringo, as a freshman, his first interception. Taken to the house, and a former defensive back. Very close now to delivering a national championship to his alma mater.
1980. Herschel Walker, Vince Dooley. It's the last time Georgia's won a national championship. We have Georgia fans in front of us. I can't imagine what's going on in the state of Georgia and Georgia Bulldog Nation all across the country.
I mean, what was going through your head at that very second?
I had literally just recorded myself saying, and it came out. We did a couple specials and it came out, but I had just said on my phone, "Don't try 5. You don't want that smoke." And they tried 5, and they found out.
I remember, 2 years ago on Christmas, Kelee getting his first career interception against the Giants. Now, I'm sure he ended up keeping both balls or giving both balls to you.
They're mine. It's mine. Yeah, I got to keep it.
Right. 'Cause
That's my job. It's mom job.
I don't know, DeAndre Hopkins. I believe his mom is blind, I want to say. And I know his mom attends the games. And I believe like almost every touchdown he would catch, he would give to his mom. You know, she's there in the stands, which I think is. See, growing up, my mom was hearing impaired, and my mom lost her hearing at 3 years old. You know, lost my mom a couple years ago. She
Sorry.
thank you. She was hearing impaired, but she could read lips perfect. She ended up losing it with tinnitus. I think that's how you say it, but you know, just to not to get into that, but just imagine like DeAndre Hopkins giving his mom football every time he would score a touchdown, which I think is pretty amazing. It just to relate to that, it's got to be just a great feeling, especially for what you dealt with, what you're cancer free for the last 3 years.
Yes, thank you.
And
me.
I know I do have a video that you do have on Facebook. If I could play it, just to let the audience know what you've been through, and you and Kelee.
My name is Tralee. I was diagnosed with breast cancer the year of 2020. I was a busy single mom prioritizing my son over myself, like we do as moms, and while that's commendable, I had also been ignoring a palpable mass on my left breast for 9 months. Focused on getting my son to college, I thought that I had time to have that mass examined because I wasn't 40 years old and cancer doesn't run in my family. I'd convinced myself that it had to be a clogged duct or a cyst, but it wasn't cancer, not me. Then 9 days after my son reported to college, I was diagnosed with stage 3 triple negative breast cancer. Triple negative falls in the category of one of the most aggressive, and while it affects everyone, it affects Black and brown women primarily at age 30, not 40. I was one of them. My treatment included 3 different types of chemo, one nicknamed the Red Devil. The surgeries and complications I endured could have been minimized had I taken that mass seriously. I chose a double mastectomy to remove all breast tissue, which revealed dead cancer cells in my lymph nodes, indicating that the cancer was attempting to spread. It was caught just in time. Today, I'm 3 years cancer-free, able to enjoy my new grandson, and I just got to watch my son win the Super Bowl with the Eagles. I'm incredibly grateful to the V Foundation for their research. I believe it saved my life. Donate to the V.
God bless you.
Thank you for that.
I don't. Where do you begin? Like, you've overcome, you conquered. Like, it's just the blessings of your Kelee winning the Super Bowl. God bless your first grandchild. Like, I can't imagine what you went through, but God, like I said, God bless you. And
Thank you. The decision I made to not have that palpable mass checked because of how busy of a single mother I was, and to figure out where my son was going to go to school. And you got part of the story previously that was busy. When I wasn't flying, I was flying. And I felt it and knew it was there. And I just thought it was a clogged duct or a cyst. And I'd convinced myself it wasn't cancer. Nobody has died from cancer in my family. Wasn't 40 years old, and I didn't believe that's what it was. It would happen to me. How many people have actually never thought themselves, it's not going to happen?
Right.
And I stand corrected. And I feel as though I survived this. And like I said, there were dead cancer cells in my lymph nodes. That is, for people who aren't familiar, metastasizing breast cancer is when it gets into your lymphatic system, and that's a kind of a gateway or train system to the rest of your body. Goes to your lungs, it goes to your brain, it goes this area, and it could end up anywhere actually. But I was flirting with those in my lymph nodes spreading, and they were in my first two lymph nodes when they removed them. And I most fought a different fight. Most didn't, maybe not get to meet my grandson. I almost missed my son winning the Super Bowl. And that having made that decision and survived it has changed my life mission.
I mean, being that it's, breast cancer awareness month, I know you talked about the V Foundation. Can you get into a little bit about, you representing the V Foundation? And
Yes, we have a collaboration or partnership. I'm an ambassador for the breast cancer of the Jimmy V, and there's an impressive side branch off of the Jimmy V Foundation that is Stuart Scott, and they focus on specific type of cancers that actually affect brown and black individuals. Well, everyone gets cancer.
right.
It just does not discriminate, and that is my message, and that everyone just has to stay up to date in their history. And excuse me, when it comes to the V Foundation, they have donated over $400 million towards this amazing research. Absolutely every dollar you donate to the Jimmy V Foundation goes to cancer research. There is not an overhead, and that's what I support. The game-changing research that I believe saved my life.
Well, and just to recall, some folks, Jimmy V is Jim Valvano, who was, I believe he was the head basketball head coach of, I think, North Carolina State. And you also mentioned Stuart Scott, who was with ESPN for a very long time. And
Commentator who publicly fought his cancer fight and lost, and
right.
I'm thankful that they are looking into why, again, the African American community is diagnosed less, but dies more of it.
Now, as far as like the V Foundation and yourself, do you do like the breast cancer walk in October?
I haven't been on a breast cancer walk. I haven't been on on a a large breast cancer walk, honestly. My the last, let's see, I did an event with the V last December I'd like to talk about.
Sure.
And I asked one of my friends, Jalen Carter's mother and Nagobi Dean's Mama Dean, went up to me to New York to a gala, and we auctioned off my son's Crucial Catch cleats. Were custom made with a breast cancer symbol on them and my name and a signature, and his signed jersey, as well as Jalen Carter's jersey and Nagobi Dean, and it auctioned off for a nice number. Went directly to cancer research.
Very nice. Yeah. Are you involved in like any other type of breast cancer organizations as well?
I am actually expanding my affiliation currently with October, approaching. I am interested in working with. I got, excuse me, Penn Medicine reached out to me, and that is pending actually for October. So so I will say that.
Right.
Am not again other cancer organizations. I support the V Foundation. So as far as the others, I'm not affiliated.
Is there any? I don't know how to put it. I mean, how would you? I mean, you went through. I can't imagine what you went through, but I mean, if you were to give any advice to anybody, just what dealing with breast cancer, what would you tell them? I mean,
That's currently dealing with breast cancer,
yes.
um, to fight. It is a fight you would never sign up for, depending on how responsible you were with regards to getting your mammograms and staying up on the potential of tumor growth. It depends on the fight you choose. But if you choose to fight, do it. Just have to put your big girl panties on. I don't know how else to say it. I've never been in a position where something was so, but literally no one could take any weight off your shoulder. And in 2020, all of my friends that were flight attendants when I was diagnosed, they were home with their families. It was not living a commuting lifestyle anymore. And my friends were flying into town, to come to work and then flying home to their families, living in other states. My friend, were nationwide. So I was in Phoenix by myself and drove myself to chemo and drove myself home and lined up 18 pills twice a day and tried to meal prep and force feed, and everything tastes like cardboard. And you're just on your deathbed and you're defeated and you just.
Well,
And I have a page on Instagram called Exposing Breast Cancer, and I am building that following. My goal is going to be to go live, and I'm wanting to speak with other current cancer patients, survivors, and thrivers, and their caregivers, and provide resources, financial and mammogram resources. And I have friends that are radiologists, and I want to bring on doctors and psychiatrists to speak. And I want to blow this community so that it's a place where others can come and talk about what they're going through and what they're experiencing. That wasn't said for me. Didn't know where to turn, didn't know where to start, didn't know what was happening to me, and I didn't have anybody to talk about it. But I'm changing that.
well, as far as wanting to get back on, talk about moms on the move. I see you're involved in a couple programs as far as called. I think I'm saying this correct. I'm a father first program. Can you get into a little bit of that?
It is a nonprofit that's predominantly focused on it has been focused in the past on gun violence and has been successful in Atlanta, and has just been invited up here to this community. And I'm a Mother First as a branch off of it, and we provide mentorship to the youth. And we did a 3-week summer program for Delaplane McDaniel, and it was a success. And now moving into, it is still being determined which school is going to accept our 20-week conflict resolution program.
It's coincidental you say that. I work with a lady. I believe the Eagles do have some type of, I don't know how to word it, but her son was murdered by gun violence, and I know she's having some type of trying to think of the word to use. She's having something for him in December, and I know she, because I am affiliated with some folks that are fellow season ticket holders that, like, I don't know, Fort and John, Gail Saunders.
Yes.
I know he's big with, community outreach work and stuff like that. And there's a couple other season ticket holders I deal with. And she was trying to get in touch with the Eagles organization to see maybe, if they could maybe donate some stuff, to just for an auction or whatnot. Matter of fact, I think she may be watching this evening, which I told her I was having you on. So
Let's reach out to Moms on the Move and see what we can do about that.
Okay, thank you. And just to get in more so with Moms on the Move, can you explain, what, you and the four other ladies, or what programs you're involved in?
Well, we're not. Last year we did some community service with. Of course, I went to support Nakobe and their nonprofit event, but Moms on the Move, we linked together and gave away some turkeys and some clothing, and that was donated. And then we did pretty much the same thing for moving into the Christmas. I'm not sure. I believe we might have some more in the making regarding some presents and or just speak with Mama Dean. She's actually the mom of the group, and I just respond. I just do what she says.
Right. Miss Dean is, you can just see like, the military, she's just like
She's so organized and
just like,
structured.
just like a go-getter. And, like how she said she raised Nakobe, his younger brother and his sister, just that military background, very, I know she said she raised her children, the most up respect and give back to the community and stuff like that. And
Yes,
you know,
we're
it's
also different, and we have great relationships with our boys. I love all of them.
I mean, I
And
just
I was gonna say regarding that we're local. If you're interested in having us on, also I'm local,
oh
and I know Jordan Davis' mom is local, and they're so fun. But yeah, let's collaborate that because I'd love to come
I
back on.
I would love to have, and I even mentioned it to Miss Dean, like she was on my first episode of my show, and it was, I said, matter of fact, I want to go back right after the Super Bowl. I don't know if you know one of the drivers that drives the Eagles for Academy Bus Company. His name's Al Norfleet,
Okay.
and he actually drives bus number one. So Al and I we did a show last Eagles season called At the 50 with Fuji and Fleet. And the first time I had Miss Dean on him, we were trying to figure out a collaboration to have you, Miss Dean, and Jordan's mom, Jalen's, and Nolan's mom on, and it was like I said, we're just a collaboration. Maybe I could get Al on because, like I said, Al's actually been driving. A shout out to Al if you're watching. I know he's probably busy right now because he drives the Phillies. I know he picks up the opposing teams, brings them to the link. He picks up the opposing teams against the Phillies. He also does the Philadelphia Flyers during the season. And he's been driving the Eagles for about 25 years. As a matter of fact, when I get a chance, he was actually in a Chunky Soup commercial with Mrs. McNabb, Donovan McNabb, Trey Thomas, Brian Westbrook, a couple other Eagles, probably, I guess when Donovan did the Chunky Soup commercials back in like 2000, 2001, but I'll send it over to you. I'm sure Kelee knows him. Very, very down to earth gentleman. Like I said, he's been, he was in the parade. I know he had his picture taken with Mr. Lurie in the Super Bowl trophy, and he knows everybody. From Mike Quick to BG to Brian Dawkins, and last year we had Trey Thomas on, and I'm sure he got to know a little bit of those gentlemen, and just like that tight knit community that the Eagles have, and the alumni and stuff like that. But I'd love to get Big Al on with with all just a collaboration. Let me stop talking, but
Sounds good. I'm here for it.
I mean, it's definitely, like I said, just a collaboration. I know this time of year is hectic, and I mean, do you mainly go on a lot of the road trips, or
Yes, I have. Let's see. I have gone on not everyone, but I'll go again. There's no necessary rhyme or reason as to which one I go on.
right,
Just honestly was preparing for October
right?
and needed to
Now, is
back.
there a special favorite city you have that you've traveled with the team?
Oh, easy. I'll give
New
you one
Orleans,
guess.
New Orleans. Well, besides the Super Bowl, if you had to
I can
choose,
go. I'm sorry if
did I s-
where? Let's see. City. City is a favorite city. New York.
Giants?
I'm looking forward to going back in a couple weeks. When is it? It's pending very soon,
Ah, let's see.
isn't it?
Denver this week, and they got the short week. If
Yeah, I
anybody doesn't know, is that game in Philly or is that game up in New York?
think it's an away, isn't it?
Okay, so
First,
it's next Thursday.
and don't quote me.
Next Thursday, I believe, because they go to Minnesota and then they play the Giants again,
Yeah.
and I believe it's the bye week. So it's they got the Giants twice in 3 weeks. So
Well, if I doubt they have two away games. Somebody's
right,
listening on here, like screaming at their phone, like, "Look it
right.
up."
No, you're right, but
It's probably a home.
well, right, and it's like I said, they're coming off a short week.
Hmm.
Playing the Denver Broncos this week at 1 o'clock, and then they're right back at it. Thursday night of next week. So yeah, it's especially you played super against Dallas, and to drop the banner was like a month ago. So here you are, like 5 6 weeks later, playing on another Thursday night. So
That
it's
did feel like a bye week when you played
right.
Thursday, and then we
Yes.
got a bye week coming.
Well, yeah, I believe, right after the Giants, because then you got, I believe it's Green. They go to Green Bay on a Monday, and then I want to say it's Detroit on a Sunday night. So it's, start really getting into the meat and potatoes of the schedule. So it's, I mean, what is your, what is your take of where the team is at the moment? I mean, with these nail biter games.
I trust Nick Sirianni. I trust when Hurts. Trust these guys that are in position that, and I don't. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I can't go into it. But I think these games are as close as they should be, and I think when we need to pull off, we will.
All right. I mean, I was looking at the scores last couple of days, and I'm like, they pretty much won all 4 games by like
Yeah.
less than a touchdown, and it's like you said. I believe it's just rust. Kevin Patullo. It's as a new offensive coordinator. It's like it's a new. Oh, I mean, you've been here what, your 4th season, Kelee,
It's our
and
third.
okay. I mean, it's a new offense. It's a new offensive system every year, and it's
Hmm.
like these guys haven't played. It's pretty much it's preseason right now, and the cohesiveness is probably not fully there. So I'm sure because a lot of people forget last year, Eagles were 2-2 coming off that. They went down to Tampa and just got smoked, and
Rough start.
really, they really didn't get it going until they went to New Orleans the first time. Lo and behold, who the heck would have thought, the Eagles were would have went to the Super Bowl 59 and pulled off that upset and smack Kansas City right on the jaw, which,
And I interviewed right before I went down there, and I told the news, I told NBC, if we can go down there and one team, and it's one team versus the other team, and may the best team win, then we can get it done. But if we have to go down there and play the refs, then come on. And I just like how it all unfolded, because all were on every single.
Can you get into the ambiance of that? I mean, the atmosphere leading up to the Super Bowl.
Oh gosh.
What was
God, down there, I flew down there with the team. The team, it's not with the boys, but with the other parents and with their family. And that was an experience. And I was glad to be there. I'm glad I chose to fly down there with everyone else. When we got down there and just got to the hotel, it like Philly, but in New Orleans.
right?
We traveled. It was unreal. We were everywhere, and was super comfortable with that. It was just what I'm sure what you saw here.
Oh, right.
Everyone was just so energetic and so excited, and I think a lot of people were thinking the same thing. We can beat them, but only if they allow us to actually play them.
Well, I mean, that was the whole thing. I mean, Kansas City, they were just totally cocky. All right, we're going to three-peat. Like, not giving the Eagles, any respect. And it was just, to me, we had them beaten Super Bowl 57. And it was, you watched the video that night of the team meeting when Jalen talked, Lane Johnson, Saquon Barkley, just to name it a few, BJ, and it was just, I knew you could just sense from each gentleman talking that, we're taking this thing, we're not getting no respect whatsoever, and it's like I've said on my other shows, I said, the Eagles went down there, went up to the bully in the schoolyard and punched them in the mouth and took their lunch money.
I love it.
And Kansas City had no response. And the mentality of being a Philly fan for years is like, it was surreal. Like the way Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore's game plan, and especially Jalen's touchdown to Devontae Smith with the dagger, just sticking the knife right in the heart of the Kansas City Chiefs when that team just looked befuddled and drained, especially when Jalen Carter just laid it right on Mahomes.
I'm so embarrassed for them.
No.
And I mean, not literally, but
and they just all stood around on the sideline like they couldn't even believe, like their adrenaline was just drained out of them. Like they had no answers.
Can't believe. And I feel bad for everyone that wanted to watch a good Super Bowl.
Oh.
They didn't deserve to be there, and they played as such.
Well, that was just, excuse my language, but that was just an ass whipping from pillar to post.
BTA.
Right. Belt, just took the belt and whipped it. I mean, it was, I don't know, I'm just.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. I was up in the stands with fans and just, there's video of it on my Mama Ringo page.
Now, when Kelee and the guys won the national championships, wasn't one or both of them in New Orleans as well?
I'm sorry, was it
when they won the NCAA, the two championship titles?
No,
Georgia.
No, that was in Indy. We went to
Okay.
Indianapolis and won that
I don't know why I
championship.
was thinking one was in New Orleans, but now were you at the ring ceremony?
Yes,
Now, can you dive in a little bit of that?
it was beautifully organized. They did a really nice presentation of the season. I really liked. It was an amazing dinner and drinks and socializing and meeting their moms and
Right.
the boys, and Lewisine was one of them. He cut his dread since I had saw him, and I thought, oh my goodness, I didn't even recognize you. Um, and so love how they had actually hid the rings in the center. Let's use it. It was a large table, and
Mm-hmm.
then there was a flower construct across the middle, and then other young men were, sitting and facing us. But in that or construct, you could push open, and they revealed the rings. So their rings were right in front of them the whole time.
I mean,
And when they opened them, gosh, my son's face, it was, as you saw, it was just turning. The presentation was
right.
beautiful. And my son, when he noticed, he said, "It's wings." They popped
Wow.
out.
I mean, just to see a Super Bowl ring like that, especially with the wings, I mean, it was like
Yeah.
just
Th-
incredible. And
My first thought was, how are in the world are they going to outdo this one? How are they gonna make a better ring for the next
that's
win?
just because I know they had, I forgot the gentleman's name that did the design and make the rings from, I don't know if he was from Beverly Hills, I believe they had him on hand as well, at the dinner.
Gorgeous.
Right. And
I wish I would have thought to have it. Darn, I'm sorry.
that's okay. So it's always next time. I mean, that ring. I know they said Jalen Hurts was the only one that didn't put his ring on, and at the ceremony. But he was looking more towards the 25 season. So here we are.
His mentality is different, and he gets the job done.
I know his father coached him in high school.
He was yeah, I saw that. I saw a special, and it was just impressive how he
Yeah.
was raised and bred, and just the instruction and militant instruction from
Right.
his dad. I think one of the quotes was that there was no separation between father and coach in his household.
Wow. Wow. Oh, I mean, I know Jalen. He seems like an old soul because I believe the late artist Frankie Beverly. I believe Jalen met Frankie Beverly at his concert right before Frankie Beverly passed away, and I just like I said, I know Jalen. As you were talking about Jalen, he seems like an old soul, and very very well raised. Just his demeanor just seems like he's just a very humble person. He doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low, just right. And to play in this city, you need to have thick skin. And I'm not trying to take nothing away from. Well, they drafted Jalen Hurts, 2020 second round overall, and I think when no disrespect to without Carson Wentz, the Eagles would have won Super Bowl 52. He was a big part of that championship with Nick Foles. To me, I believe he should have been the MVP of the league that year, the way he played up until he tore his ACL. And, it was like, Jalen came on the scene and I think just, took this team over. And I just think it was like Carson Wentz I don't think, could just ever get over Nick Foles winning the Super Bowl. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I mean, it was a team effort, but it was just, Jalen came in and, it was his team and just, number one that he wears. And not to keep rambling on, but just the leader that he is.
He is. It's
But-
been my that's my perspective.
right. And I know we're almost here up against the hour. I just wanted to how can I put it? I'm drawing a blank for a minute. Where can everybody reach you as far as social media?
I am Mama Ringo on IG, and I've also created my new account. I'm exposing breast cancer, and again, I'm going to have that on Facebook and all the platforms. And again, I'm going to the individuals I'm going to bring on that. I'm going to bring from all platforms to speak about. G is preferred, I think.
Okay. Now, will you be down the Denver game for the tailgate?
Oh yes, I'm planning on it.
Nice. I believe I'm going to be heading down there myself pretty early, so I'll be looking for you. Put a name with a face besides just
Yes.
telephone number and screen. But like I said, just to get back to the collaboration, I'd love to have the Georgia moms on. That would be phenomenal. Just to talk to each of you individually, just talk about everything and but I loved having you on. It was a great hour, and God bless you. God bless you, you and Kelee and your new grandchild. Congratulations. And I'd love to have you back on. And I love the fact it was a great hour, just informative and just to chop it up, but love to definitely have you back. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I know we're live. Hopefully everybody's watching. I'm new to this, hosting my own show, so I got to get these glitches right, but we'll smooth them out. And want to thank you, Miss Hale, for coming on. Thank you again. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Wanted to say, reach out to a friend, a relative you haven't talked to. Mental illness today is very big, and you don't know what somebody's going through. Just, reach out, lend a hand, make sure somebody's all right. Again, thank you. Everybody have a good week. God bless. Go Birds. And
reach out to someone about breast cancer.
Exactly.
Call a woman and hold her accountable, and then come on and send me a message that you did it. Text Mama Ringo, I respond. And go Birds.
Amen. Thank you, Miss Hale. Everybody have a good night, good week, and go Birds.
Birds.
Well, let's see. Ooh, we are still on.
We are still on.
Let me